Join Charles and Hillary Price for Faith, Hope, and Love, the story of a man who responded to God's call to transform the lives of street children across Kenya.
Welcome to our special Living Truth series from Kenya, Faith, Hope and Love in Africa.
Here in the Mully Children's family, you'll find these three qualities in abundance. For 25 years, Charles Mully's organisation has rescued and welcomed over 10,000 homeless, abused and neglected children into the family. We're here to share some of their amazing stories with you.
You'll also hear plans to open a college with intention of becoming the Mully International University, providing higher education opportunities for many students who would otherwise be deprived of that. This is part of the greater MCF vision to see Kenyan society transformed. We'll tell you how we together can participate in this groundbreaking project later in the program.
So stay and watch Faith, Hope and Love in Africa with the Living Truth team.
You were watching Faith, Hope, and Love, Living Truth in Kenya.
At the Mully Children's Family Residence in Delani, gender equality is an important value. Kenya has a long way to go before women are recognized as equals to men. Young girls are vulnerable, especially to sexual assault, both at home and out in the wider society. Our first story is about Elizabeth. You might find it difficult to hear her tell what happened to her, but we cannot ignore and look away from such realities.
Each child living here at Mully Children's Family in Delani has a story to tell. Some have suffered abuse. Others were abandoned by their families. Many were rescued from the streets. Elizabeth is 16 years old. She and her two younger sisters were brought to Mully Children's Family about 4 years ago. Their early childhood was difficult. Their mother struggled to provide enough food and a stable home.
Mamangu hakuwa mbaya, lakini vile mamangu wenye walikuwa wanamuoa ni walikuwa wanafanya maisha inakuwa magumu. Hata anafanya sitatia bidii kwa masomo kwa sababu kila saa.
One day when her mother was away, Elizabeth became one of Kenya's many young victims of domestic violence. She was sexually assaulted by her stepfather. He threatened to kill her if she told anyone. Elizabeth was just 10 years old.
Nilikuwa tunaishi na mamangu, ndio akazaa dadangu watatu katikati ya Susan na Mary. Wenye alizaa huyo dadangu alikuwa hiyo siku alikuwa mpeleka clinic. Wenye alikuwa mpeleka clinic, babangu alichukua kanishikia kisu, kaniambia atalala na mimi na lazima. Wenye alilala na mimi, damu ilijaa kwa nyumba, kwa kitanda. Mamangu akaniuliza ni nani alifanya hii kazi yote. Babangu alikuwa ameniambia nisiseme kama niseme ni anko yangu. Nikamwambia mamangu ni anko yangu. Mamangu alichukua akanichapa na mbao, karibu aniumize. Nikabidi nikamwambia ni babangu. Nimwambia ni babangu akaniacha.
Elizabeth was brought to hospital and after her recovery was placed in a series of orphanages. She has harrowing memories of being locked in dark rooms and going days without food. After being rescued by police, she and her sisters were given a new home at MCF.
Sijui venye afikiria, lakini aliambiwa tulete huku. Kazi yake ni kukuja kutuangalia, kwenye watu wamefunga shule, tunaenda kama wao, lakini tutarudi hapa mpaka tumalize shule.
When they first arrived, the sisters were quiet and kept to themselves. The scars of their past took time to heal. After 4 years of regular meals and proper care, their outlook has become more positive. They are free to be children again.
Niko hapa MCA. Nafurahia sana juu naona nimesaidia dada zangu. Ningekuwa nimewaachilia, singekuwa nasema niko na dada. Lakini venye nilijitia moyo na nikaendelea kuwasaidia. Sahi naona ule mdogo sahi hakuwa na mwili, lakini sahi ako na nguvu, anaweza jiongelelea. Kitambo hakuwa anaweza ongea, alikaa miaka 2 bila kuongea. Hakuwa mdogo, lakini sahi kwa sababu naona anaongea, nafurahia sana.
She is also moving forward in her studies. Elizabeth wants to qualify for medical school so she can become a doctor.
Masomo kwangu ni ya maana kwa sababu nataka nisome, pia niweze kusaidia dada zangu pia wakiwa shule. Hata huko nje, si dada zangu peke yangu. Pia nikuwa daktari, nisaidie watu wenye wako na shida yoyote. Nikuwe kama dadi mwenye nasaidia watoto na waokoa kwa shida nyingi.
Elizabeth and her sisters have found a new way forward at MCF. Now, when she wakes up to a new day, it is with hope for a better future.
Many of these children behind me are fully equipped to go to university. In normal circumstances, they would. But at grade 12, they will have to stop simply because there are not the resources to give them the higher and further education to equip them to become the leaders in Kenyan society. That is why they're going to build the Mully International University. This will provide free education for these young people. They will be subsidized by 70% of fee-paying students. It will enable the 30% to not have to pay fees and to qualify for all kinds of jobs and positions and professions within Kenyan society. The dream is not just to get the children off the streets, not just to feed them, but to equip them to become leaders in business, in medicine, in politics, in every sphere of Kenyan life in the years to come. And you and I are being given the great privilege of helping to make this possible. University is a big project, it's an expensive project, but we want to contribute just a small amount, as much as we're able to help them to lay the foundations and begin this building. And you can help significantly if you will participate with us in this wonderful, exciting, and what will be life-changing project here in Kenya.
The proposed Mully International University will be an expansion of the vocational college already in operation. The project has land, a developed curriculum, and an international team of academic advisors. Living Truth's goal is to raise $750,000 for classrooms and laboratories. Today, you can invest in the Christian education of future African leaders.
Put faith, hope, and love into action by sending a check to Living Truth, P.O. Box 91100, Bayview Village, Toronto, Ontario, M2K 2Y6, or call 1-888-269-6085 to donate with a credit card. On the internet, go to livingtruth.ca to make a secure donation.
Living Truth is a registered charity, and all donations are tax deductible. You can transform lives through your support for the Mully International College and University.
MCF inanipea masomo, chochote kile tunahitaji. Tunapaa pia upendo juu hata baba zangu wote wenye nimepitia, kuna mwenye alikuwa ananipea upendo na tena Tena mi na MCF inanipea basic needs. Juu uko nje ni vingumu sana kupata mtu kaa dadi anasaidia maskini na wenye wana nyumbani na wenye wana wazazi.
Elizabeth's life is being transformed at MCF. Now she wants to be a doctor. That may seem ambitious considering the abuse and trauma that she has suffered, but it is not uncommon for MCF children to have such dreams. Dr. Cairo is a former street child rescued by MCF and is now head of this particular hospital, and his story is evidence of hope for the future of Kenya.
It was not an easy road to a medical degree and a top job at this hospital north of Delani. But with the help of Charles Mully, a young man was able to defy the odds and achieve his dream. The doctor you're about to meet has a remarkable story.
Hello, Dr. Cairo.
Yeah, I'm very
How
fine.
are you?
Nice to meet you.
Yeah.
Very good to see you.
Nice to meet you,
Pastor
Dr. Cairo.
Charles Price.
I heard many things about
Price.
you,
Ah.
so it's good to see you.
Good to see you too, Charles.
George Cairo is the supervising physician at the Murang'a District Hospital. 20 years ago, he was one of Kenya's many anonymous street children living in a state of persistent hunger, danger, and no hope. Now, at just 27 years old, he is in charge of a health facility that sees up to 300 patients a day. George calls his transformation nothing short of a miracle. He credits Charles Mully with turning his life around.
I met Charles Mully at the age of 6,
At that stage, you were completely on your own on the street, is that right?
together with my 2 brothers and a sister. We were completely on our own because my mother was very sick, and we used to go out to the streets with my 2 brothers and 1 sister.
To beg?
Yes, to beg and to steal and to eat from the dustbins.
George was forced onto the streets after his family's compound was attacked in ethnic clashes surrounding elections in 1992. His mother had to flee with the children to a nearby town. An already difficult life grew more precarious. His mother could not afford to feed the children or send them to school. Instead, they roamed the streets begging for food. That is when the children met Charles Mully.
My brothers and I were sleeping on the roadside, and then he came and found us. My brothers were hungry, we were hungry, we had walked a whole town with nothing to eat. So he came and said he can give us some hope, he can help us, he can give us some food, and that's what happened.
His 2 older brothers went to live at Mully Children's Family Home right away. George attended day school at MCF and returned home to his mother at night. She died of AIDS when he was 8 years old. One of her last requests was for her children to remain under the care of MCF.
If you hadn't met
Yes.
Charles Mully, where do you think you might be today?
I've thought about that severally. I wouldn't have even reached the age of 18, probably. I would have died a long time ago as a young boy in the streets, maybe probably from an infection, falling sick. Anything would have killed me. I'm sure I wouldn't have been here today.
Because many children are dying in that situation.
Many children die in the streets, they fight, people kill them, so many things happen in the streets, and I wouldn't be here today. This was God's plan that life goes in this way.
As a child, George showed a keen intelligence. Later, Charles Mully cobbled together a group of sponsors to help pay his fees to study medicine at the University of Nairobi. Today, the success of former street children like George Cairo and many others is the fulfillment of a dream for Charles Mully.
It is in a big way that my dream is being achieved through these young people, Cairo and many others. And he is also a good example of what it takes when you help a poor child and then nurture him in the best way with love and with the concern about the education. And I see a great change and transformation in our country, in Africa. That's what I'm seeing, and I'm so impressed and happy about that.
George is grateful for the food, shelter, and education he was given at MCF. But he tells Charles Mully that it was the spiritual guidance he received that continues to inspire his work and his life.
I got very good mentorship from you, Dr. Charles Mully. I got to learn that someone can achieve a lot if they focus on the most important things in life, if they focus on the mission that God began in their lives. And I am capable of transferring that mission and the duty to other people in the public.
Dr. Cairo has high hopes for Kenya and for his place within it. In the future, he wants to help shape the country's health policy. A university based on the Mully Children's Family philosophy will help other former street children like Dr. Cairo transform Kenyan society.
George Cairo was one of just a few students who was sponsored to go to university in the early days of MCF. Today, the Mully Children's Family does not have enough funds to send a large number of students to public universities. The solution is to build MIU, the Mully International University.
Once you are accredited and the university is established, how will it be self-sustaining?
30% of all the students who will come to MIU, they will come from Mully Children's Family. 70% will make an opportunity for all the young people from our country, from Africa. They will come and fill the gap.
And the 70% will subsidize the 30%.
Yes.
What is the budget for establishing this university? I know you'll start smaller and expand. What is your big budget?
Our expected budget will be 18 million US dollars.
By North American and Western world standards, 18 million US dollars is cheap for the vast 100-acre development that you want to see here. And so for us, this is a very good investment of money, because for relatively less money than we would pay at home, we can have this very big impact on Africa.
Yes, this is really good, and for us to be able to partner with our friends in the Western world, especially Canada, USA, it is a great opportunity that they can come together and own this vision, because our vision is to meet the needs of the very poor, the hopeless people who are really talented. They have a brain, but they cannot have that access to go to university, and therefore saving young people and sharpening their mind, their brain, and they become the changers of the world today.
And this is why we are coming to you, our Living Truth viewers, and asking you to share in this great vision that will really have its impact in this land of Kenya and in the whole of Africa as well. We're not going to raise 18 million, that is not our goal, but we ask you to help us. Nothing is too small. A lot of people giving a little becomes a large amount in the course of time. And don't feel I can't give much for such a big project. Every little bit is valuable, and thank you for considering this.
What Kenya needs is professionals and leaders who are steeped in Christian values and ethics, Mully International University graduates will be equipped to influence society to help stop the cycle of poverty, family breakdown, and corruption. Today, you have an opportunity to invest in Christian education for Africa's future leaders. Living Truth's goal is to raise $750,000 for classrooms and laboratories. Put faith, hope, and love into action by sending a check to Living Truth, P.O. Box 91100, Bayview Village, Toronto, Ontario, M2K 2Y6. Or call 1-888-269-6085 to donate with a credit card. On the internet, go to livingtruth.ca to make a secure donation. Living Truth is a registered charity and all donations are tax deductible. You can transform lives through your support for the Mully International College and University.
My name is Victor Mwema. I just completed grade 12 last year.
And I'm 19 years old and I've been in MCF for 4 years.
I'm Esther Mully. I come from the slums of Kawangware.
So we were left suffering. We had no food, no shelter, and nobody to take care of us.
And I'm waiting to join university. And in university, I'll take a course in agriculture engineering.
I would like to go to a university. If God opens ways, I know I'll have a chance to go to a university.
I'm praying that Daddy Mully will extend his love and take me to the university.
So that I may go back to my society and help those needy people who are there.
I want to do nursing. I pray that God will help me. Thank you.
You were watching Faith, Hope, and Love, Living Truth in Kenya.
I'm at the Mully Children's Family Site in Yatta. It's unique in Africa, as it specifically takes in girls from the streets who were raped or forced into prostitution. They come often with their babies to receive medical help, counselling and vocational training, and their lives are transformed. The land at Yatta is also being transformed by innovation. There's a water conservation project, a tree nursery producing seedlings for MCF and the local community, plus sustainable farming projects. The new university will be built here. I was given the opportunity to speak to the girls and the young women, and in the midst of all this transformation, I knew immediately what message I would like to bring. My message is called Young Woman, Stand Up. And here is the first part.
All the way from People Church, Toronto, please welcome. I'm so happy to have you here.
Jambo. It's wonderful for us to be here. So we're going to look at the story of that girl in Mark chapter 5, that Jesus rose from the dead. This is Mark chapter 5, verse 21. When Jesus had again crossed over by boat to the other side of the lake, a large crowd gathered around him while he was by the lake. Then one of the synagogue leaders named Jairus came, and when he saw Jesus, he fell at his feet. He pleaded earnestly with him, "My little daughter is dying. Please come and put your hands on her so that she will be healed and live." So Jesus went with him. A large crowd followed and pressed around him, and a woman was there who had been subject to bleeding for 12 years. She had suffered a great deal under the care of many doctors and had spent all that she had, yet instead of getting better, she grew worse. When she heard about Jesus, she came up behind him in the crowd and she touched his cloak. Because she thought, "If I touch his clothes, I will be healed." Immediately her bleeding stopped, and she felt in her body that she was freed from her suffering. At this point in the story, there is hope. This girl is 12 years old, and in this culture, when you are 12 years old, as a girl, you become a woman. So Jesus sets off towards the home of the 12-year-old girl, but he is interrupted by an older woman who has been bleeding for 12 years. And Jesus is caught in the middle of the older woman and the younger woman. And as Jesus stops to heal the older woman, he gets news about the younger woman. Our leader is told, "Your daughter is dead. Why bother the teacher anymore?" And Jesus hears them talking and he says to them, don't be afraid, just believe. But now it all seems too late. The girl is dead, and if only Jesus had gone straight away, everything would have been okay. But they set off because Jesus said one thing to them. He said, don't be afraid, just believe. And sometimes in our lives, when things seem impossible and it seems too late, Jesus will say the same thing to us. Don't be afraid, just believe. So Jesus went back to the house of the girl who is now dead, and he took his disciples, Peter, James, and John. And when they get to the house, there are a lot of people outside, and they're making a lot of noise. These people would have been hired. They were professional mourners, and they would be brought to the house to make a wailing sound. And he goes into the room where the dead girl is lying, and he says 4 amazing words. And I have flown for 2 nights and many days on aeroplanes to say these 4 words to you. Young woman, stand up. After Jesus had said, young woman, stand up, he took her by the hand and she came to life and began to walk around. And then he told somebody to give her some food. I think after you've been dead, you are hungry. This is a fantastic story, but what has it got to do with us? Well, it has everything to do with us because it's a story about a young woman for young women. And you're all young women with a few young men thrown in. It's a story of a young woman who was dead and came alive. And I am not a young woman anymore, but I was a young woman, and I was dead, and I did come alive in Jesus when I was 19 years old. I want to show you some truths, life-giving truths in this story. Number 1, Jesus loves children, little children and big children. One of the most beautiful things Jesus ever said was in Matthew 19:14, let the little children come to me, and do not hinder them, for the kingdom of heaven belongs to such as these. Sometimes grown-ups, adults, get in the way of children coming to Jesus. In the Gospels, one day the disciples got in the way, and Jesus told them to get out of the way and to let the children come to him. It's through children that Jesus teaches us some of the most important lessons we need to learn about the kingdom of heaven, because the kingdom of heaven belongs to such as these. Many of you have children. Your children will be your greatest teachers. I have 3 children. My 3 children have taught me more than anybody else. They teach you how to trust. They teach you how to pray honestly. They teach you how to have joy. They teach you how to live in the present. They teach you how to forgive easily. They teach you how to wonder at the amazing world we live in. One day Jesus took a child and he placed him among lots of adults. And he took the child in his arms and said, whoever welcomes one of these little children in my name welcomes me. This is such a beautiful picture of safety. If you stand a child in the middle of a group of adults, they're very shy and they put their heads down. But Jesus comes and puts his arms around this little child because he's protecting the child. And the child feels safe within the arms of Jesus. We never stand alone in our troubles, whether we're a child or an adult. You are as important to Jesus as everybody else. It would have been very easy for the 12-year-old girl to think, oh, he didn't bother about me because he stopped for somebody else and I don't matter. And sometimes when we have to wait, we feel God doesn't care about us. But when you have to wait for God and you then see a prayer answered, you see God in a more amazing way than if you don't have to wait. And your life has a much stronger story to tell. The older woman didn't wait and she was healed. The younger woman did wait and she was raised from the dead. The older woman went quietly away and hardly anybody noticed what had happened to her. The younger woman rose from the dead and everybody saw. Her life was more amazing because it showed God can do the impossible. And many people will look at your lives, and because of your lives, they will say, God can do the impossible. So sometimes if you have to wait, don't give up. Don't be afraid, just believe. And when you think it's all over, Jesus can still bring life to you. With God, the story is never over. The story is a literal
Hillary will
story,
continue
but it
her
also
message
has
later in this
spiritual
program.
truth.
Stay tuned now for another story of faith, hope, and love from the Mully children's family in Kenya.
Esther Mully is mother to thousands of children who have grown up at the Mully Children's Family Home. She and Charles Mully have 8 children of their own, but for Esther, all of the children at MCF are part of her family. They call her Mommy Esther. Like most mothers, Esther wants all her children to have a good education.
Thank you very much. Also, we are happy to see you.
Without the Mully Children's family, these children would have no hope.
Maybe these kids, they could be in the street, or maybe they could die.
Yeah, they just wouldn't survive.
They couldn't survive because they were very young. We could lose them.
Yes.
But now they are here and they are living.
Yes.
And they have a bright future.
Yes.
A bright future because of a good education. The Mully school system goes from kindergarten right up to high school. Some go to college.
You see the teacher.
Yes.
We take care for them. And he went through also to MCF.
Oh, okay.
So
you grew up here?
Yeah, and he went through.
This teacher came as a 7-year-old orphan to MCF, and teaching is his way of giving back. Success stories like his have led to many awards for MCF. But 25 years ago, when Charles Mully first wanted to help street children, it was a battle.
People, they tell me, oh, your husband is crazy. Then I told them, my husband is not crazy. If he's crazy for Jesus, because he loves Jesus. And this kid, if you are not taking care for them, who will take care for them? And he wanted to help the children, the needy one, and those who don't have parents. The Lord is the one who called my husband to do it.
So before anywhere was built for the children, did you invite children into your home at one point?
Oh yes, and those children, when they come to our home, they didn't know how to use toilet, they didn't know how to use shower. So I started teaching them and nursing them and taking care for them and also our children.
If it was tough for Esther, it was even more difficult for their 8 biological children. They resented the intrusion. What began as a trickle became a flood of needy children.
It was not easy because, you know, when the kids, they see other children coming, they are dirty, they don't know how to behave well. It was very hard for them also. But I told them, these kids, they don't have parents, they have died. And they need somebody who can take care for them. So what transforms the children is the love which they see in the home. We love them. And when they come, we allow them to give what they have in their heart. We just try to talk with them slowly by slowly. Then they changed, but with love.
The whole Mully family changed too. Today, all the biological children are adults and are involved with the work. And Mommy Esther's role has expanded. She delivers practical help to desperate families. She goes out in the community to advise grandparents caring for AIDS orphans. Another day will find her in the slums with her husband Charles, following up on a report of a poverty-stricken family. And always she counsels and prays for the thousands she calls her children.
I pray for those kids to love God wherever they are and whatever they are doing. That's my prayer.
And they always will be your children?
They are my children. How they call me mommy. And I love them and I like them. Yeah.
Okay. Mwamba, 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 Yesu ndiye mwamba wangu. Mwamba, 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 Yesu ndiye mwamba wangu.
Hilary Price continues her message from Mark chapter 5, the story of a young woman who was brought back to life, and the healing of an older woman who had been subject to bleeding for 12 years.
The story is a literal story, but it also has some spiritual truths. Jesus raised a dead young woman. There might be parts of your heart and your life where you feel you are dead. And there might be people around you who are yelling and wailing and saying you are dead. And you need to let Jesus put those people outside, just as he put the people outside when they were yelling and wailing about the little girl. Those are the voices that will discourage you. But when you get alone with Jesus, he will speak words to you that bring life to you. And with 4 words, Jesus brought this girl to life. Young woman, stand up. I don't know if you have ever heard Jesus say those words to you. And maybe you feel you have a part in your life that is dead. And it will always be dead. One of the biggest reasons we cannot stand up when Jesus tells us to, and we cannot move, take his hand and walk, is because we are paralyzed. And the thing that paralyzes us the most is our past. I know what it feels like to look back and be paralyzed. I didn't come to know Jesus till I was 19 years old. I had heard about him, but I didn't know enough or understand much about him. And when I was 19, my parents divorced and my family broke. And I heard Jesus say to me, young woman, stand up. And I said, I can't move. And so I came to know Jesus and I began to discover freedom in Jesus. And little by little by little, I learnt to walk in a new life when I didn't keep looking back. I want to tell you a story that illustrates what happens when we are tied up by our past. This is a story about a dovu. So I want to tell you the story about this elephant. There was an owner of a zoo in Canada, and he wanted to get an elephant to put in his zoo so everybody could come and look at the elephant in a cage. So he came to Africa and he found a baby elephant. And he put it in a box and he put it on an aeroplane and he took it back to Canada. And now he had captured the elephant. So he put a huge chain around its leg and he attached it to a big tree. And the elephant was very unhappy. He used to live in Africa where it was warm and sunny. And now he lived in Canada where it was freezing cold. So he thought at first, I will try and escape. And every day he pulled at this huge chain. And the more he pulled to try and get free, the more the chain cut into his leg. So his leg began to bleed. And then his leg got infected. So then when he just pulled a tiny bit on the chain, it hurt so much. So this went on for weeks and weeks and weeks. Many, many years later, a little boy was visiting the zoo where the elephant had been chained up. And he walked past the elephant who was standing in his pen. And the elephant now was tied up by a tiny little piece of thread. And it wasn't tied to a tree, it was tied to a little peg. And the little boy said to his father, why does the elephant not try and get away and get free? And the father said, the elephant remembers the pain when it tried to get free years ago. The elephant no longer believes it can ever be free. So it no longer tries to be. This elephant could have snapped this string like that, and he could have walked away. But he was stuck in his pain. And many of us are like the elephant. We want to be free from the past and free from the pain, but it hurts too much, and so we no longer try. And we believe it will always be that way. until Jesus comes and says, "Young woman, stand up." And he doesn't just say the words, he gets hold of your hand and he reaches for you. You can't stand up without Jesus. There is no resurrection from the dead without the life of Jesus. No one else can set you free but Jesus. And if the Son sets you free, you will be free indeed.
Hillary will conclude her message later in this program. Stay tuned now for more stories of faith, hope, and love from Living Truth in Kenya.
Sometimes we wonder why people don't just change the life that they're living. Many poor women in Kenyan culture find themselves in an impossible situation because they have no voice and no power. All they can do is keep running away and somehow surviving. The next young woman I'm going to introduce you to is not just a survivor, she is a woman of extraordinary courage in the midst of extremely harsh circumstances in her life.
Elizabeth has come a long way at the Mully Children's Family Vocational Center in Yatta. For the first time in her life, she has a safe home and regular meals. The 23-year-old mother of 3 has escaped years of abuse. At times, she was forced to work as a prostitute to feed her children. These pictures are from an MCF video taken 1 year ago when Elizabeth was being considered for the program at Yatta. Prostitution had left her pregnant and desperate.
Ilikuwa inaniuma sana. Sometimes hata nilikuwa nakaa usiku nalia, sikuwa nalala. Ingine inabidi nilikuwa najaribu kujua. Sasa nikaona watoto watateseka kwa ajili mimi ni yatima. Nikafikiria niwaache tena wakuwe yatima. Nilikuwa nikaomba tu Mungu.
Elizabeth is one of 300 women living at the Yatta home. It is one of 6 MCF locations in Kenya. Many of the young women here are mothers rescued from difficult lives. Some were raped or abandoned to child labor. Others, like Elizabeth, were forced into prostitution.
I decided to have a separate institution where the girls who have been molested and sexually abused, where they could come and have peace and have time to articulate their talents through learning. And we give them the very best of valuing themselves, being able to love themselves, to acknowledge themselves, to appreciate themselves.
For vulnerable women like Elizabeth, this is a breakthrough, a fresh start. She is learning valuable trades like tailoring and hairdressing. It is a new chapter for her. She had her only inheritance stolen after her parents died when her tribal land was taken by relatives.
Sasa vile mama yangu kuaga, kuna ule auntie alikuwa ananichukia sana, akaniambia sister ya baba sasa. Akaniambia enda kwenu, hapa si kwenu. Sasa vile alinifukuza ndio nikaenda.
As a woman, Elizabeth could not inherit land. She got married in search of security, but her husband did not provide the love and protection she had hoped for.
Akaanza kunitesa, aliti chakula, anakuja kama amelewa, ananichapa. Nikavumilia tu kwa hiyo maisha, nikakaa. 2011 ndio nikajaliwa na kijana 2012.
She did leave him, but life got worse. Elizabeth resorted to brewing illegal alcohol to make money. The men who bought her liquor said they would report her unless she slept with them. She prostituted herself rather than face a corrupt police force. Then she turned to MCF for help.
Sasa matokeo vile ilitokea, nikakuwa mmoja wao, nikalia sana, si kuamini. Nikaambia tu Mungu ni asante kwa sababu ndapata penye naweza kula mzuri na watoto walale vizuri na wafae vizuri.
By coming to the Yatta Center, Elizabeth is giving her children a chance at a better future. She is grateful to be here and is working to leave the traumas of the past behind. She is learning skills to support herself, and she will build a new life for her family.
Mully Children's Family does not abandon its young people once they graduate from high school. They're never asked to leave. They've joined this family for life. MCF provides many post-high school opportunities. There's a college for vocational training in such areas as hairdressing and tailoring, carpentry and welding. Other students do internships at different MCF locations. They can volunteer in the school or help with the tree planting program or work at the farm. The large farm employs workers from the community and grows vegetables to feed more than 2,000 children who live at the various MCF locations. The farm is of such quality that it exports produce to the European market as a source of sustainable income for MCF. Charles Mully is a true visionary. He has already put into place programs that will launch MCF graduates into productive lives. But those who want to pursue academic studies find it impossible to do so due to the high cost of university tuition. Charles Mully himself cannot finance them all. The Mully International University, right here at the Yatta site, would have 30% of spaces reserved for MCF students, subsidized by the 70% of fee-paying students from across Africa. Just as Charles Mully saw the potential in a street child called George Cairo, will you see the potential of these MCF students?
In the next few years, there will be an estimated 300 graduates from the Mully Children's Family per year who are qualified for university and college. The proposed Mully International University would provide sustainable university and college education to MCF students who can then provide Christian leadership throughout Kenya. Put faith, hope, and love into action by sending a check to Living Truth, P.O. Box 91100, Bayview Village, Toronto, Ontario, M2K 2Y6, or call 1-888-269-6085 to donate with a credit card. On the internet, go to livingtruth.ca to make a secure donation. Living Truth is a registered charity and all donations are tax deductible. You can transform lives through your support for the Mully International College and University.
And the truth is, Africa will never change if there is poverty, and poverty will never go if people are illiterate. Because if they are empowered and they are educated, you'll have the doctors, so you'll get rid of the diseases. And when you get rid of the poverty, then the different people who control the population to do their bidding for them, is it wars or stuff like that, they'll lose the power and the grip over the people.
When we talk to the children, they have dreams to become farmers, others to become pilots, others to become doctors, and many other things. And I believe and trust that if the university will be there, it will be helpful for them, and men will have to reach their dreams.
Hilary concludes her message based on the story of Jairus' daughter, who was raised from the dead when Jesus reached out his hand to her, and the story of the woman healed from 12 years of bleeding.
Jesus set us free by dying on the cross and rising from the dead and giving us his Holy Spirit. So although Jesus just touches this girl by the hand, he touches us on the inside, not just the outside. Maybe you are stuck in a place inside you that you think will never change. From the moment you were created, God's hands were all over your life. In Psalm 139 verse 13, it tells us you were knit together in your mother's womb. But you know, the first man wasn't knitted together in his mother's womb. The first man was formed from the dust of the earth, and God breathed life into him. And he touched him. And we're talking about touch. Then he said, you can enjoy everything in the garden, but there's one thing you must not touch. He said, you must not touch the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. Because if we touch the tree of the knowledge of good and evil and we lived forever, it's too painful to know good and evil and live forever. But they did touch the tree, and they did eat the fruit. And now there was a distance between God and people. And people were frightened of God. And religions are all about trying to reach to God. But Christianity is not a religion, it's a relationship. In religion, people try to reach to God. In Christianity, God in Jesus Christ has come to reach and touch men. God says, I held out my hands to you, just like you do, you mothers do when your little baby is trying to toddle towards you, but you went away from me. In Jesus Christ, God touched the world, and he couldn't resist little children. Mothers brought their babies to Jesus for one reason, we're told in Luke 18:15, to have him touch them. Jesus went out of his way to find people that nobody else would touch. He touched prostituted women. He didn't just want to touch people, he wanted people to come to him and to touch him. The first couple in the beginning of time had touched what they shouldn't have done. We lived at a distance from God. Now God sent Jesus to touch the untouchable and to invite them to touch him. Jesus offers you his hand when you have nobody else's hand to hold. And maybe you find that hard to trust because years ago your mother let go of your hand or your father let go of your hand. And maybe the first hand that you held that you trusted was the hand of Daddy Mully. And so you became part of the Mully family. And when you come and be part of the Mully family, somebody feeds you. They feed you food in a dish, and they feed you spiritual food out of the Word of God. But the time will come when you will leave the Mully home. You will always be part of the Mully family, but you will go and you will start another life, and you will maybe start a trade and marry and begin another life. And while you're here, you need to learn to feed yourself from the Word of God. You need to learn to be alone with God like this little girl was, and to hear Jesus speak to you and say things like, young woman, stand up. Jesus came not just so that we might have life, but that we might have life abundant. Because this girl rose when Jesus said, young woman, stand up, you also can rise up. So you can be a young woman who can hold your head up because you have a new identity in Jesus Christ. You are a daughter of the King of the universe. So you are no longer stuck in your past. You are no longer held by chains. And when you stand up with Jesus, he says, stand up, let's go.
Come and see what the Lord has done. Come and see what the Lord has done. Come and see what the Lord has done. Come and see what the Lord has done.
We at Living Truth have witnessed the remarkable work God is doing through Charles and Esther Mully at the Mully Children's Family in Kenya. It stirs our hearts, and we trust it will be stirring your heart also. We've told you about the vocational college that is already operating and the plan to get accreditation to build the Mully International University.
We're asking each of you to respond and to give from the heart. It's not just about bricks and mortar, it's about people and the opportunity to transform a generation in Kenya. At its heart is spiritual transformation. Charles Mully wants to make it possible for children from abused and abandoned backgrounds who have the skills, motivation and aptitude to attend a Christian college or university and take their full place in Kenyan society.
We need your help. Please take this opportunity to give towards this remarkable project that will have an impact not only on this generation of Kenyan young people, but on generations to come. We invite you to partner together with us and the Mully Children's family to help them see the fulfillment of this God-given vision. Join us again next week for the third program in this series from Kenya and East Africa. In the meantime, you can phone, you can go online or send a check through the mail to help make the vision for the Mully International University a reality.